all. Welcome to the jungle. All right, you can see me? If you can see me, you can hear me, you can see the board. I think you know what that means. I think it's about time we get into something here. I'll get deuced out of here again. Welcome back to another episode of Dark Wizard's Dungeon. I'd like to welcome you, personally, Dark Wizard himself. If you've heard of anybody else with that name, make sure you bring them on into the dungeon and we will handle them accordingly. Thank you for being here. I just want to share my gratitude and my appreciation because you probably had to click on this video because I haven't dropped a video in like a month and I haven't been leaving no updates other than the backlog TikToks I've been putting up. So a very personal, a very sincere apology from that. A little thing I want to add here before I go into a 25-minute tangent and I forget the point of this video. It was my birthday on June 5th. And I understand in traditional American culture, we share that online and we celebrate with our friends and maybe our followers or the peers that we've created in these different social networking spaces. But and again, this isn't something that I plan on going further with, but I had really, as I've been growing up in the household that you guys know I came from, I wasn't really allowed to be celebrated in the sense that it's your day and this isn't an opportunity to make this day about me, speaking about my parents, or making it about how much you are spoiled and need everything and now need everyone to focus on you because now you're just this center of the universe, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of the trauma that I had endured, whether it was from direct abuse or abandonment, had really made me shrink my expectations for my appreciation of myself and really made me even stop wanting to do so. And I've realized that even after leaving that house, that lingering trauma and really my inability or my desire to not address that has left me with a life where I only have, quote unquote, what I need rather than everything that I need to do everything that I can and become everything that I can be. And it's a lot more than just neglecting celebrating my birthday for the sake of reducing the amount of disappointment that I'll inevitably feel, whether it was back in the past and saying, oh, well, we're going to do all these things for your birthday, and then I'm getting hyped like 9 months early, and then the closer we get to the date, the closer it's, do you really think we're doing all that? Bill's here, this. And then it's just like, you know what, you know what, it's better if I, like parentifying myself in the sense like, you know what, it's better if I just put myself aside and just, let's worry about these other people's problems first. And I realized in a healthy household, in a functional home with parents who act like adults and behave like adults, they don't do that. To a family that cares and supports you, they don't abandon that or neglect that or know that your parents are neglecting you in that way and continue to just perpetuate that level because it allows them to not intervene. I try not to make these videos, and I think some of the reason why I haven't been so consistent, other than just like the ADHD, strong side of ADHD, one of the reasons I haven't been so consistent is because it's very emotional for me to get back into my past because there's so many things that happened that I'll just never get answers to. And it's not only for like a parent doing this and then like that just happening and being unresolved, but them being alive, them being able to live a whole life on the other side of not addressing this and of not living in reality so they can cope with not having to take accountability with the person they really are. So they can keep on being the person behind the mask. They can keep on not being the person they need to be because, hey, when you have a kid, you kind of need to sacrifice a little bit of yourself for it rather than literally sabotaging the kid's entire life so you can live the crumbs or shrivels of a life that you think you wanted to live. But it's crazy because if you cared about the kid who is up and coming and you can raise into a whole lifetime or a career, maybe that kid would have the courtesy to come back and help you and thank you for the help that you've given that kid, or just because the kid loves you. And again, see, that's why, like, I try not to make these videos too direct about like my own circumstances or experiences, but more of the solutions and the conclusions that I've come to as a means of addressing them. Because I feel like just focusing on that part of the journey will allow you more inspiration to keep going and to figure out those answers, rather than this being just like a trauma bond session and we all just sit here and complain about how much we hate our parents and hate our lives, but we never really do anything about it. So to wrap that all up in short, in TikTok form, skibbity toilet bebop, I got to say that I'm learning on this journey, especially really, I feel like this purge that I've been on from my past and my foundation over the past 18 months. It's been learning to, it's not too much to appreciate myself. It's not over the top to be excited about myself and to be almost, to have that excited anxiousness about expecting good things in my life. And the more I'm the person that shrinks those expectations down, that shrinks those dreams down, that shrinks those things that I love and care about down, the lesser I'll be able to even feel them, even if they do present themselves in my life. And I never want to be the person who's responsible for the suffering and the pain that I'm going through if it doesn't have any clear intention of helping me get to the goals that I want. If I'm just suffering to suffer, I'm not doing that shit. I'm sorry, bro. So, happy belated
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
That's going to lead us into what this video really is. And what I want to speak to you guys about is I've realized I'm not somebody necessarily who wants so much in this life materially, but I know I'll definitely have access to entertain myself and to splurge on myself and to those I love in that way. So I'm not really too anxious or worried about that. But I've realized that beyond the money, because I know that there's always just another level of money to get to. There's always another tier, another group, another country club to have access to. I want the projects that I work on in this life to genuinely impact the people that participate in them, that use them, that impact them for generations beyond my existence. I think that I don't think that we have a lot of dreamers in our reality that dream for anything more than themselves, in the sake of dreaming to get out of current circumstances or dreaming to get to reach a certain goal. But I feel like our society has become so individualized, we don't want to include other people being appreciated or also benefiting from the success of dreams that we had to take responsibility for individually. And what's interesting about that actually is that kind of ties into the responsibility of family and kind of raising one. Again, I'm not a parent. And the track record of families I've been a part of has been pretty fucking shitty. But I'm realizing that it takes such a great amount of love for the self to be able to say, you know what, I'm taking full responsibility for this thing, whether it's a relationship or a connection or a family or a job or a goal. And regardless of what happens, I'm taking full responsibility, knowing that I may be the last person to eat off of the plate, but knowing I'm feeling fed, feeling-wise, emotionally, knowing that the people around me that are less fortunate, that aren't able to do what I can do, get to eat, get an opportunity to feed themselves and learn how to start stacking for themselves and to create a life and opportunity for them and the people that they get to inspire on their unique journey. Ever since I dropped out of the traditional school system, I've been trying to find a way to craft a degree plan to put me in the position to be like an entrepreneur, to validate this non-traditional lifestyle that I've been going on. But I've realized there is no certification better than success. There is no certification better than a working product, a working project, an infrastructure that actually helps people get from point A to point B more efficiently than prior circumstances or prior opportunities have. So that's what I'm looking for. I've realized that I can help the world in the ways that I want to, but it doesn't have to come on the back of me turning myself into a martyr and becoming some political activist. It doesn't have to become on the other end of me completely like going Buddha mode and abandoning all needs in life, or and nothing against Big Brother Buddha over there. But for me specifically, what I've learned on this, again, this purge that I keep mentioning in the past 18 months, the past couple of years, is I was meant to bring these projects to the world, and not just for the sake of getting rich and getting money, but for the sake of allowing the world to participate in creating this new reality that we can subscribe ourselves to. With so much changing in the current reality that we live in right now, we as a people need something not only to commit to, but something that we can also contribute to. So we can feel like we are not only included in this human experience, but we are responsible for it. And in that responsibility, we feel like we are needed in this existence. We are valued here. And those types of conversations, those types of ideas keep on hitting my head as we're about to speak about this in a second here. But as we have instances like AI doing a mass replacement of jobs and then blocking people out from jobs, and a handful of CEOs I've just seen during their cult-like Bohemian Bohemian Grove little meetings at TechCrunch and South by Southwest saying, if you are a software engineer, you might as well get a job at McDonald's because there's not going to be any jobs when AI comes to replace you guys. We're going to have a whole podcast on that conversation, actually, how CEOs are wrong. They're just 18 months early to be wrong. And once they're wrong, they're going to be so wrong, it's going to be very difficult to bounce back from that. But I'm thinking about not only the loneliness, but existential loneliness crisis. And the way that big tech wants to address existential loneliness, instead of helping revert us from the digital addiction that they've created, which I call digital psychosis at this point, they're going to initiate this term that I phrased called socialized schizophrenia, but I have to add self-induced, because they're going to blame the people who accidentally use this without knowing the effects of this type of technology. Google VEO3, we'll just block that in there right now. It'll distort people's ability to know what reality is from fantasy and from fiction. But even worse than that, it's going to stop people from, make sure I'm saying this right. It's going to enmesh how people treat technology and human beings. So you're either going to excessively humanize a non-human or like a non-living technology to the point where you isolate yourself and abandon the responsibility of your human connections, or you're going to start treating your human connections in an abusive way, the same way that you treat your technology, and then your human connections are going to leave you or punish you because they don't want to be treated like automatons or robots who get directed around all the time and just prompted to exist or sit around like background characters. They want to be your friend. They want to be responsible for caring about your feelings and who you are and where you go and who you date and what you eat and all this type of stuff. But one thing and another thing, I guess I keep on going on tangents here, but the final one right here is just like about these AI friends. And something that I keep on seeing, coming across on my social media platforms, especially as an autistic person too, who has really an existential crisis, having to cope with this, like, what side of acceptance of loneliness I'm on. But something that I've been seeing is that, and I already forgot what I was going to say, but I'm going to try to remember it in the next 5 seconds. If I don't, then we're wrapping this shit up. Thank goodness I fucking remembered this shit. Thank fucking goodness. Okay, thank goodness. Okay, I'm just going to say it right now. Relationships are a responsibility and are more times than not inconvenient, but that's the point. Okay, just so I have it clipped up there, and I was going to forget it again. But as we enter this age of AI friends and Mark Zuckerberg, who I believe is a felon, but I guess in the reality we live in, he's a superhero and he's a military leader. especially for my autistic people, which I mentioned earlier, I want you to realize that the AI companion stuff, we are building something in my universe. We are building a technology for this. But as I've done my research for it, I've had to study other people working on platforms and projects for it. And I've realized that it's a means of, mind you, this is post-COVID, where we had the convenience of only needing to network digitally and being behind a screen for everything. I mean, whether it's OnlyFans or Twitch or YouTube, everyone is behind the hell out of a screen, bro. The issue with that and the parasocial connections that were developed off of that and the cult communities that come proxy to those parasocial relationships at mass is that you forget the responsibility of relationships and how great relationships actually are a lot of responsibility. But the problem is you only see the good times and the happy times that happen in a lot of these relationships because they take the time in their own time, in their privacy, in real time to address the issues that may start to falter or obstruct the wellness of the relationship. Great relationships are hard work. You have to care about people. You have to be there when they're crying. You have to care about what they dream about. You have to care about the life they're living. You have to care about them when they don't care about themselves. That's one of the standards of friendship that I have personally. Do you care about me even when I can't? I can't or I don't care about myself. And mind you, as a friend myself, I'm not going to abuse that access to that type of blessing from somebody. But as somebody who would do the same for you, if you're a little too tipsy and I need to take care of you, if you're too this and I need to take this, if I need this and this, if you need this, if you need money, if you need to sleep somewhere, if you need a place to close off my back for you. But I have to also know when I'm compromised myself, you have my best intentions at heart, even if I cannot see them directly with my own two eyes. That will show me that you are more of a friend, more than a family, than anything to me. And that's something that I can genuinely respect no matter how the fuck you feel about me. But that's something that an AI companion can't give you when it's just, you prompt it to obey you like a slave. That's what I'm thinking about. The three biggest use cases of AI in the next 10 years, if we don't destroy the whole entire world and have to restart anyway, will be military technology to blow up women and children who can't defend themselves, will be slaves to destroy economies and labor markets all over the world and make a whole bunch of purposeless human beings with low skills, no education, and no intelligence, and just absolutely like horny. So they're probably just going to like birth a bunch of kids that won't get raised any day. And then the last one will be companions for the people that were isolated or feel lonely because of the last tech revolution that spawned social media and dating apps, which destroyed social networking and third spaces and community building. So all the people who exist on these platforms and they're not rich enough to exist in the real world and actually make real change when digital currency ends up replacing traditional fiat currency and all of us end up being too poor to participate in that next phase of life, yeah, we'll be addicted to these digital companions, and then we'll take that addiction of digital companions on digital platforms to just fully existing into digital realities. And then whether it's Ready Player One or Matrix, whatever it is, that's when that comes to reality. Because at the end of the day, there's no point in replacing human beings. I've said this about 20 times. There's no point in replacing human beings from the economy if the economy is the only way a human being has access to get resources or to get the sustenance to buy resources to provide for themselves. Removing humans out of the economy is saying that you want to create an undesirable class of human beings to do undesirable things to them. If you want to question me, let's talk about what alligator Alcatraz, what kind of bullshit is that? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Now, the question is, and the reason why I call these people undesirables, it's not because I don't like them. It's because America has to pick and choose who is the demonic force that is the reason for everyone's problems, that is not wealthy people, And then we can justify doing all the things that we should be doing to wealthy people to these people to continue to perpetuate the wealth inequality that will be made permanent by the big, beautiful bill that Trump just signed that I like to call the big, beautiful heist. So you let me know. You let me know what kind of world you want to live in, but there is a track that we are on, and it is high speed to hell. I think AC/DC has an album called something like that, like Highway to Hell or High Speed to Hell. But I just want to let you know, of course. And before we get into, let me make sure this is still recording first, and then we're going to get into a little more interesting things here. Okay, perfect. Now, that is a perfect entry into a handful of things that are going on this month or within the past 6 to 8 weeks that have inspired, really probably the past 4 weeks, honestly, that have inspired me to really just go hands and knees and start begging every platform I have access to help me fund and build this platform that we're working on. I'm done with the. I think that me attempting to turn No Land for Good Men into a book, and then of course subsequently a New York Times bestseller, was selfish of me. And I've realized that if I just, obviously people can't read, so I thought turning into a lecture series would help. People don't like to listen to me, so that's a whole other problem. But I've understood that it is not the having a book that predicts the future in history. That's not going to be important, especially if we don't exist in a future to like look back and be like, oh my goodness, like you were right. It's super like I told you so type narcissism. And it's not that bad, obviously, compared to other types of narcissism that exist. But I've realized that instead of wanting credibility in the sense of certification from my peers in like the writing sense of this world, I have allowed this book to, instead of being a book, transition itself into a manuscript that can then fully fuel or be the ethos, the fundamental intellectual infrastructure to the platform that we've been talking about for the past 3 to 6 months on my YouTube page. Again, I've been kind of dancing back and forth between titles or names that I want to call it, but we started with this name, and I believe that it is only right to continue to do it justice by continuing with this name, or at least giving it the initial boost. Tribal Worlds. There is, again, I understand we were supposed to be talking about what's going on when we start talking about what projects I'm working on, but this will all make sense in a second here. The reason why I'm even working on these projects is because we don't have any time to waste anymore. The reason why I decided to go, instead of waiting for a book and to say, hey, you know what, like, can you guys fund this book? And I said, hey, you know what, you guys need to actually participate in funding and building this platform. Because I only came up with the concepts and the ideas for this platform after writing this manuscript and writing the lecture series. So if the lecture series inspired me enough to create this, which again, just click over and watch the proposal for Tribal Worlds if you want to see what this is. If this manuscript inspired this, all I'm going to say is imagine what it can inspire you to do. I did the legwork of digging into figuring out what's happening here, what could happen here, what happens if we don't address this, what could happen if you guys go right when the world and the powers that be expect you to go left. What happens? Oh, I can't figure that out because you guys, the recipients of this knowledge, of this information, have to change because of this information and then decide that you're going to impact the world, reality, community, culture, your relationships, yourself differently because of this newfound information. This is what it is. Like social media has really got us fucked up, thinking that like one person gets famous doing viral TikTok dances, then you can start doing whatever you want. Like no. We forgot about the real world. We forgot that when you go to school, you have to work on group projects. We forgot when you go to work, sometimes you got to work on group projects. We forget that you're a team when you go to work. We forget that there's multiple of you in a family. Like, I want to blame social media almost completely for that. And honestly, let's just dig right up behind and rip Zuckerberg right out of that and just blame him for everything. I'd like to. Well, let's get into a handful of things that are going down in this country, that have been going down over the past couple of weeks, that have inspired this project or these projects to not only begin to be built, but now for me to request funding for them. Diddy being cleared of major charges. I hope all of us, especially on this page, understand. We've been talking about for probably a year since Kendrick started doing the beatdown on Drizzy. We've been talking about how the whole entire music industry is a Fed trap. And even worse, it's an MLM scheme Fed trap that is perpetuated by recruiting the poorest of the poor people to just like chase after crumbs on a hamster wheel, and then also actually giving sustenance in an illusory form to mid-level managers or mid-marketers. So it actually looks like there's a ladder to climb when the people at the top of the machine are making millions, if not billions, every single year off music they don't create, creative projects they don't participate in, things they barely even allow to be funded or processed, and a culture that they're going to let be destroyed. Because all they care about is shoeless Joe Jackson fighting off against Muhammad Ali, this gorilla fighting ape, this fuddler, this left versus right, black versus white, this. That's it. That's all they care about. This sensationalist media culture. This is absolutely destroyed. Like, all they know is let's put left against right and have them beat each other until somebody wins. And now, especially in this culture, especially this current music industry, you're seeing whether it's the fake sex appeal, or it's this like weird trying to cosplay other generations of stars when like that's not who you are, and like you're just doing this to brand. This is a joke, bro. It's a joke. And I'm glad that this whole entire Diddy case happened and the trial happened, because it's showing us that there's a great opportunity, not only for us to impact and create culture, but to actually navigate the compensation that comes from that culture into building communities, into building more creatives, creating more creatives, cultivating a culture that lasts beyond us and isn't just a money pit, isn't just a corporate propaganda scheme, and whatever else Mossad wanted to do with it. Something in my head genuinely believes that the mobsters who are getting busted, like the real original Italian mafia and whatnot, they just sold the whole entire infrastructure of the music industry to the feds for the sake of them being protected. But every other person that would follow them, like subsequent to entering the music industry, would end up being either a federal informant and then given success on the other side of that, or they're going to get locked up. Because do you know how many RICOs you can get? That's big dog talk. The most important part of this conversation that we need to be having is not only is this big beautiful bill or big beautiful heist going to make wealth inequality permanent in America, meaning that there's probably going to be no social mobility upward, only downward to the abyss of hell. And like 70% of people will be living in hell square one. So not only will that be a thing, but wealthy people above that, it's not even a glass ceiling, it's a brick ceiling. Above that brick ceiling that wealthy people are dancing on top of our graves on, dancing on top of our heads, they can do whatever they want. Diddy gets cleared of major charges. Mind you, a friend of mine actually told me that there's a specific issue, again, nothing against Cassie at all, but there's something that Cassie didn't specifically admit, allowing Diddy to end up getting off on these charges, because if she did admit to a specific aspect of this, then it would open a whole entire door for now Diddy's not only this one person who's acting alone with all these clients like Epstein. Now Diddy is a marketer of human beings to highest bidding and highest paying customers. And now the issue is not Diddy and him being a middleman. The issue is who is buying those children more times than not. So this case, the Diddy trial and the Epstein files finding no client list and the FBI basically totally messing that up, should show you guys wealthy people can do whatever they want in front of your face and you won't say anything about it. And mind you, they will all be born again Christians at some point to clear their names of the things that they do. Or they're going to use Google VEO3, the fake video thing, to say, that's an AI video of me touching that child. This is the reality we live in. Do you really think a poor person is going to be able to leverage a fake video creator to lie about reality or to create false alibi? Or do you think a wealthy person would use that? Whatever. The most interesting part about the whole entire situation, other than Diddy not being found guilty on major charges and Epstein apparently not having any clients but 1,000+ victims, is the fact that Epstein's wife, his Clyde to his, or the Bonnie to his Clyde, is still in jail. But if Epstein has no clients, why is his wife in jail if she didn't traffic to anybody? Does everybody remember that video of Donald Trump pointing into the distance? I'm gonna try to clip it right here. But he's standing next to Epstein, and then he leans over and whispers something into his ear and points over, assumingly at a child. Assumingly at a child. This is your president, mind you. But he, of course, the person who ran their whole entire campaign on, we are going to take out the deep state. No, we're just going to destroy welfare. So when we remove all your jobs, you don't have healthcare or anywhere to go. We are going to destroy the corrupt Democrats. No, we're going to run Trump coin, meme coins off of the American people. And then just like I was saying about crypto scammers replacing the middle class of America, we're also going to let those people have proximity to the president to influence the president as to what they want the president to do. But all the people who donate to that corrupt Trump dinner are going to be wearing masks to show up to that dinner. How interesting is that? Why would you not want to have your face seen to blatant political corruption? I don't know. Or maybe the ICE agents covering their faces. Why would you not want to be seen? Well, you're just doing your job, right? Why would you not want to be seen? Or how about the KKK, a little back in the past, covering up their faces? How come you don't want to be seen? White is right? You're the superior race, right? Well, why don't you want to be seen doing this shit if you're supposed to do it? Because you know it's wrong. And it's idiots who follow you, bro. And I'm tired of, this is why I don't even care if these videos get demonetized at all. It's idiots that have to follow you, and it's cults that run this country. The reason why you don't want to call them gangs is because they all wear suits and they all have corporate positions to cover up the real crime that they're doing behind the scenes. Final conclusion. Rich men genuinely like little girls. And if they don't like little girls, they like anything that resembles the body of a little boy. That's why high fashion in Europe, many women are forced to replicate the body type of an impoverished boy from the 1800s rather than fully accentuate themselves in the bodies that they have and the diversity that women are. Take that as a fact, not as a alleged claim. Okay, cleared out of that. Cleared out of this. Next, I hope you got, let me make sure this is still recording because I'm really going off today. I'm sorry. One thing I hope you guys do realize about the whole Doge situation, in the sense that they're going to come in and stop government corruption. Mind you, the richest person on planet Earth doesn't care about American politics until randomly the most corrupt person to ever be running is running, and he can bankroll himself into the office. And then he can now grant himself by campaign donations a political position to destroy our country, and then run away, and then come back and say Trump is in the Epstein files. Oh wait, we didn't even mention that Musk said Trump was in the Epstein files, and then there's no client list. But let's get back to the main point, because we did say that Elon Musk was going in and cutting government spending because he wanted to suck up a bunch of money from federal taxpayers, mind you, a country that he's not coming from. He wants to suck up a bunch of money to go to Mars. You're not going to Mars, bro. You're literally building a Nazi robot AI chatbot. You know that racism is a sign of low intelligence? How are you creating ultimate intelligence with a fundamental infrastructure of ignorance? It's going to self-destruct. It is literally going to be a caricature of intelligence, or it is going to, like most AI is, or it is going to self-destruct because it cannot apply ignorance into a world where ignorance is already thriving so much, but not to do anything, but to inhibit all the change that intelligence imposed upon it will inevitably make. That's the only reason why they're doing, while Meta and Zuckerberg says, we want more freedom of speech. You don't want freedom of speech. You want freedom of hate. You want freedom of rage bait. You want freedom of ignorance and nastiness. So people are, and freedom of that gooner shit. So people are not focused on following the intelligence, being curious to be more intellectual, to be more empathetic, to be more aware of their surroundings, and really understand when they're getting played, when they're getting propagandized, and when they're getting lied to by their own government officials. I made a podcast saying that Doge was a Trojan horse. Forgive me. I made a podcast saying that Donald Trump was a Trojan horse. Maybe 6 weeks ago. I could be even earlier than that because I don't remember the last time I made a podcast. I apologize about that. Maybe I was slightly wrong. Maybe it's not only. Trump was the Trojan horse for big tech to go from destroying California to blitzscaling into destroying the United States. A video I made on TikTok saying that you let big tech turn California or turn San Francisco into Gotham City, and now they have full control over Washington, D.C. to do that to the rest of these states. So, in a second phase of this, Doge happens to also be a Trojan horse. Covered, just sugar-coated to the gills. Actually, I think to the gills may be the wrong word. But fully sugar-coated, covered in that glaze, in ending corruption. What's corruption? The Department of Education, welfare benefits, and Medicaid, supporting disabled people, women's rights, the humanization of LGBTQ people. Like, that is all corruption to you guys. Do you ever think that if that's corruption to you, you might be lame as fuck? You let rich people who don't depend on any government system, they barely pay taxes. They don't depend on any government system. They depend on their own finances that they probably stole from their employees or their businesses. Or they inherited, because that's most of the wealth up there. Are we thinking? Are we thinking? They're going to destroy a government so they can make more money for themselves. Sugar-coated in, we know how much you hate your neighbors. We know how much you hate not being able to say the N-word. We know how much you hate not being able to abuse your wife in the home. So how about we just destroy the federal government in retaliation? Oh, and mind you, this actually might have been just a wet dream of the January 6ers, that most of which got pardoned for almost destroying the federal government and ending the lives of a handful of federal employees. But mind you, we don't care about that because we just lost 2 or 3 Democratic Congress people in the past 2 weeks. And nobody says anything. It literally it lasts in the news for maybe 2 days. But the news wants to speak about Zoran Mamdani wrote he was an African American on his college admissions. Like the newspaper that's supposed to align with his own party is running against him because they don't like the fact that he's actually trying to hold his party and all corporatized establishment parties accountable to the hope and the change that they've been selling their constituent, or not constituents, but selling their audiences and not fulfilling. How crazy is it when somebody says, I'm going to run, be a human being, and I'm going to humanize human people at the mercy of wealthy people being able to have another villa in Italy, another vacation here, buy more drugs in this country, pay for more sex in this country, buy more things they don't need. I'm going to cut a little bit into that fund of shit that you don't need because you already have too much, and I'm going to disperse that effectively amongst the people who don't have shit. And I will be terrorized for that. You have to sit here and think. Mind you, MLK had like a 30% approval rating when he was alive. Something's telling me Mom Donnie might be going in the right direction here. And it's crazy to me how Democrats, you're going to lose every election, every presidential election for the next like 12 years. So let's just be honest here. The only hope you have, because the only access to the youth you have is this man right here, and you disparage him because you're afraid of all these establishment, I waited in line, Democrats to get their jobs at the mercy of actually real political change makers that could transform the entire landscape for generations to come. Because the crazy thing about Democrats are realizing right now, you have the youth. You have the intellectual youth, not the ignorant youth that just comments racist shit on Twitter all day. You have the intellectual, the creative, the divergent youth that lead the change, that inspire the revolutions, that make the art, that does something to the world. You have access to that, and you hate them. You will lose every single election, probably until this party gets disbanded, unless you figure that the fuck out. And as a future rich person myself, I'm going to bankroll the shit out of a Green Party just because I hate you guys so much. And I think that whole entire thing you pulled with Obama was such a scam because you knew that if Obama was a perfect president, all you guys in the establishment would have taken responsibility or accountability for it, credit for it. And if he did anything wrong, which handful of things went wrong under the authority of people who were laying behind the scenes, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, you know you're going to blame him. And you know how anti-black this country and this world is. And you know how Donald Trump's able to go on TV and say, he's not even an American citizen. And he's able to get free TV time. Any station he wants to go on and say this dumb shit. So, there with that. But we didn't even get to the end. Oh, thank goodness. We didn't even get to the end of what I was trying to speak on, which was Doge going in and destroying the federal government just like because it's manipulating your racism and your inner, deeper American Nazi. What they were really able to do was, again, you remember when Elon Musk was actually outside a government agency slamming on the door saying, you need to let me in to go steal Americans' data. Personally, he's going to use that to fund his expansion of the X platform that he's crashing right now. But for Peter Thiel, it's for what is happening now. As of July 5th, I'm pretty sure this is when he had access to do this. Palantir is going to start data harvesting all Americans and tracking everybody by smashing individualized government or federal agencies, aligning them into one monopolized branch, which will then be owned by these billionaires once they all shell it off to each other. Real Gilded Age style. And we will be walking around this place like ants in an ant farm with cameras everywhere. But the difference is, instead of like the social media era, how we were the ones carrying the cameras, doing all of the surveillance on each other, the cameras will just exist in all the places that we are allowed to exist in. And we won't be allowed to exist in places that we are not being actively surveilled and tracked in. This could go for a handful of things. Training AI on human instincts to then replace human beings completely, or create more undesirables to do human testing, which another theory I have, let's make a side note here. Um, Peter Thiel is also invested in this weirdo who injected his 17-year-old son's blood into his body as a means of like regenerative cells or some bullshit. Brian Johnson, uh, which led me to the theory that any type of biohacking in America is just a corporatized, like a corporate friendly form of eugenics that's trying to figure out if you can really maximize your Aryan lifestyle without depending on the culture, the consciousness, and the literal soul of indigenous people to the lands that you go and colonize. That's what it is. That's what eugenics is. How can we, people who don't live long, don't take care of ourselves, and hate everything, and feel existentially lonely and invalidated on this planet, how can we justify taking from everybody and everything else, but then also claiming that we are superior to all of them while being actively the parasite that is not allowing them fully maximize their potential? Because they have no purpose other than helping us maximize ours. Now, when you're a poor dude, biohacking is taking ice baths and hanging upside down in your shower like a bat because that's how you get better blood flow to your brain. But when you're a rich man, biohacking is Neuralink. Biohacking is implanting nanotechnology into human beings and attempting to see if humans can self-heal with technology because you refuse to accept the fact that humans can self-heal on their own, and that's what our bodies are actively doing every day. We just need natural human remedies and support and things like joy, happiness, love, care as a means of reinforcing that type of growth and development. But when we're anxious every day, depressed every day, taking all these substances and Red 40 and all this alcohol all the time, it's pretty hard to do that. Pretty damn hard to take care of yourself when you can't even take a break because of this American grindset culture, and then the victim blaming culture, and then the hyper capitalism productivity culture, and then the you're lazy because you sat down for 2 seconds and you didn't work 16-hour shifts all day. Peter Thiel is one of the scariest human beings I've ever come across in my studies of anything. Even scarier than a lot of these mob bosses, scarier than a lot of people. And the reason why I say that is because he's very smart and he's very rich and he's autistic, meaning that I don't think he has the same relationship to human empathy, like myself, sadly, that a lot of us autistics do. And he now has a Trump cult supporting him, basically, which is scary because Trump isn't smart enough to leverage that cult with the amount of intellect that someone like Peter Thiel has. And now Peter Thiel is not only some software nerd who develops back-ends coding for some big company. He is the figurehead of the company who's inspired a bunch of other company heads and has a bunch of billion-dollar track records under his name. There is nothing but straight up fear or willpower that could stop Peter Thiel. And both of them come from within him. We are living in his reality. I'll tell you right now. That's why I even went out of my way to even create this Tribal Worlds platform, which we'll get into, and go check out the proposal if you want to keep on hearing about that more. But that's why I even decided to build that, because most of us can't afford to fully exist and accentuate ourselves in the real world. And we're really starting to lose access to connecting and building community online as they take over algorithms and they make AI chatbots and just ruin human connection on here. So we need a space to go, but it won't be the real world because they own that now. But there is still freedom in the digital world because this is still a digital universe. This isn't a digital planet that we're on and we're all sharing this storage on. This is a digital universe that still has yet to be fully tracked. I don't think it ever will because it's at the mercy of our ability to create within it. So we don't have to wait for these broken systems to save us from breaking us. We have to see that we are breaking because of these systems, create new systems, and see if those systems can not only allow us to heal, but to grow into the people that we want to be, and also continue to master ourselves in this world full of technology that is so advanced, it's damn near magic to people that don't know how to use it. I'm not going to sit here and call myself a genius or anything, but I will call myself autistic as fuck. And if this is Peter Thiel, this is me. Like, I'm not saying that we're the same person, and I'm not saying that like we're one of one, but I've realized, especially as like for like dudes, there's really not too many expressions of us. There's when you really push like an autistic dude who has big dreams like to the edge, and they have no option of like, or no desire to like delete themselves, but like they just have really, really, really like this passion, burning passion to make something happen and to live on the other side of what they know exists in their mind. There's nothing you can do to stop them. That's the reason why I even keep on going and building this type of stuff. That's the reason why I keep on speaking, I keep on talking, even though a lot of people don't like how I speak. A lot of people don't like the things I say. And I even told a couple of my people on TikTok, I was like, if you're hot, you might as well just like shut the fuck up, because people, like, the one thing that you're going to do to ruin your hotness is going to be speaking. Because you're either going to say something stupid and people are going to completely ruin you for it because they already didn't like you because you're more attractive than them. Or you're going to say something intelligent and they're not going to expect that out of you. And then they're going to hate you even more because now you're attractive and you're intelligent. Like, what else do you got? You're rich? Oh, see, now you're just pissing all over me at this point. Now I have to find a reason to hate you. Because if I don't love myself or some unique shit about myself, I'm definitely not going to like that you're gifted in all these ways that I can't have access to. So the reason why Teal scares me is not that he's like some naturally shitty human being, but because he has all the intangibles and we are at the mercy of his mortality and his willpower. And as an autistic myself, with like that almost like revolutionary like level of willpower, like real chaotic, and also like a really, 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 really deep need for retribution for my spite, it's you won't stop him until he stops himself. So we just have to find a place for ourselves to continue existing and developing while we're letting him destroy his corner of the universe, so we aren't all just existing in it while he inevitably destroys it. All right, we're cracking this video good. I'm telling you right now. Let me make sure this is still recording because I'd cry if it isn't. Oh, I just touched myself. Final aspect of what inspired me to do my brand reset and to do the big ol' 50K ask is all this talk about wealthy people saying, oh, AI is going to replace everyone's jobs. AI is going to take everyone's jobs. It's not. It's only going to replace jobs that can be automated. If you do something that is just repetitive, yes, you're probably going to be replaced. But you were never supposed to sit there and work that job forever. The point was for you to develop the skills there, max out on your skills there, negotiate for a different position, leave the company, or get replaced. Like the amount of people that are getting replaced, it's not even something to be afraid of. More times than not, it's because you're supposed to literally be in a different position. There's been a whole bunch of hiring, and I think TikTok showed us this a lot during 2020, 2021. They're like, oh, I have a 6-figure tech job, and people just sit in their office and start typing on the computer and showing up to meetings. Those people are getting fired. And mind you, a handful of you guys who also don't deserve to get fired will lose your job because your boss is going to think that it's so much more cost effective to hire a bunch of robots who can't do the work properly. I'm going to tag in a picture of a video I want you guys to watch here. Thinking that that's going to replace humans, making his or her profits more increased, rather than realizing the amount, I stole this quote, the amount it costs to fix the mistakes of an AI is 1,000,000 times more significant than the cost it takes to maintain human beings doing the work themselves. But on the front end, it seems that you're collapsing all of the human labor into a machine and then paying for that labor. No, you're not. You have a machine which is now paper shredding all of that human labor, and you, the idiot, think that the shreds of paper is just the same as that paper going into a file cabinet. And you're going to take dull shreds of paper and somehow, oh, let me piece them together and read exactly what every single one of them says. No, that's not how this shit works. What's happening now, a bunch of people will get laid off, a bunch of people will not have jobs, but it won't be for long. And on my platform, we actually address that by giving people an opportunity to become creators, and not only just like, oh, I create content and I'm a underpaid stay-at-home employee for TikTok or Instagram. Like, you can build, and through your creative journey, find ways to monetize yourself, find ways to participate in projects that can let you get compensation, and you can do revenue sharing, or just contribute and invest in projects people are working on so you can get a return on your investment. Like a fan, but instead of a fan just buying a piece of like a vinyl or a t-shirt, you're investing in so-and-so's project. So when they do release that project and it sells, you have a 2%, a 3%, a 1% stake in there. And it sold for 1 million records. And you're a 1% equity holder in there. That's never happened in any industry before. And we're starting that on ours. So I wouldn't want to miss the future if I were you. So all that, like the mass layoffs is going to happen. It reminds me of what happened with the car industry in Detroit, how a bunch of people lost their jobs when that ended up moving out of Detroit, and then a bunch of people got into drugs and crime, which I fear is going to happen in America because drugs are affordable always. No matter what the economy is, they're always going to be affordable, and alcohol will always be affordable for some reason, which is kind of weird. And people are going to need some way, the mass layoff, because it's going to be addressing so many people's meaning and purpose and their belief system and their ability to value themselves. And that's going to be a significant change at mass, like a tsunami level of change. There's going to have to be somewhere for people to go. And if the only place for people to go is Instagram and TikTok and traditional social media and is not other platforms, hence tribal worlds, good luck. Good luck. Because there is no organic connection. There is no growth. There is no development on anywhere. These are marketing platforms. These are data harvesting platforms. These are ecosystems to just like psychological warfare, bro. Just, these people don't give a fuck about you, bro. Them big tech millennials, bro, they are long gone, bro. Zuckerberg is at freaking, is freaking doing, what do they call it? Whiteface? And surfing on all the kids who deleted themselves because of the cyberbullying that they were going through on his platforms. And he lied about saying that he cared about. And what's Zuckerberg's answer to the Senate trial? Zuckerberg's answer to the Senate trial is, I'm going to give you AI friends instead of reconnecting you with your real friends. Because that's not going to lead to, and mind you, Zuckerberg was a psychology major before he dropped out in high school. So it's interesting how he created one of the greatest technologies for psychological warfare in probably this era of reality, and convinced us it was to facilitate social networking, connection, and community building online. No, it wasn't. This is the same kid that his initial idea of a platform was hot or not, swiping on kids who didn't know that their data was stolen and put onto a website to be judged by other peers before Facebook, before connecting people online. So that leads me into the reset of my brand, which is not really a reset. It's just me telling you guys where you're going to be able to find me in this world where so much is changing, but I'm never going to stop giving you guys the truth that I like to speak. So the 50K raise, if I hadn't explained that already, the 50K, what we're raising for, is basically a pre-seed investment, or an early, before we start really going for investment rounds, if we even need to. I don't think we will. We literally just need this working platform to go, and it's gonna go where it needs to go. A lot of what you hear, especially with these AI businesses, like something like Cluely getting $15 million of investor capital before really even making any real money, genuinely. The issue with that is it's hype. Just like I was describing in that last clip, the hype of AI, the hype of autonomy, of intelligent autonomy, or intelligent automation, is what's getting a bunch of money out in Silicon Valley. It makes people think that the next Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram is all coming out of this. It's not. There will be like three. I'm almost sure there will be 3 to 5 companies that actually make it from startup phase to whether it's unicorn or 100 million or to whatever they think is going to happen. 5 companies there will be. It will not be a lot. And I think maybe they know this and they're just throwing money around hoping that they can gamble on which one is the right one. But most of these companies are AI wrappers. They're businesses that could get reverse engineered in literally 5 seconds by somebody who's actually a data engineer or like an actual software engineer. And then when a human engineer unwinds a wind-up robot, which is not an actual, cyborg autonomous robot, then we start to realize that we actually need humans a lot more than we need this type of technology. But let's zoom into this because I'm gonna get kicked out of here in a minute. I don't want to be late. So this is how I'm going to go about the content for basically what I'm thinking the next 6 months, and then we'll do a catch up on the next 6 months. Oh, I think I forgot to tell you guys why I'm raising this money. That's what we're doing here. Instead of doing a No Land for Good Men book, mind you, it still probably will get turned into a book. I've realized that I'm going to make that because it's already a lecture series if you want to go check that out. I'm going to turn that into a manuscript to be the fundamental intellectual infrastructure for Tribal Worlds. So you guys know what I'm thinking about and the process that I've been on pursuing the creation of this. Because Zuckerberg and all of them have never given you no ideas as to what they were thinking about when they were creating their shit. They just make it, you guys use it, and then it happens to be 12 months later or 10 years later, oh, psychological warfare. So I'm telling you guys everything that I'm going with into this. And it's hours upon hours of back-end video and lectures speaking about my ethos and theory and vision for all this. So if you want to see that, you can as well. Because of what I've been able to learn on this journey, creating this really manuscript, but even just going on the lecture series itself, that has allowed me to really redefine what type of content that I make as it pertains to intellectualism. And I want to let you guys know that just because we live in an anti-intellectual America, it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop sharing my political philosophy, my healing, talking about narcissistic abuse and being a black sheep. None of that. But I have to let you guys know that I will be speaking on, like, Dark Wizard Disney is not going to be the only aspect of my brand anymore. That is going to be a lot more personal, a lot more vulnerable. So if you are here, remember, we will be speaking about a lot more of those touchy subjects, a lot more of those like connecting human issues. The interior, the juice of the fruit is what we're going to be speaking about here. And these are where you can find me. Or I'm going to have my podcast. That'll be 1 episode a week. My vlog, it'll be 1 episode a week. But if you're on the Patreon, there'll be 2 episodes a week. An extra one for you guys, which I'll also be doing. It was going to be a course that I was going to release, but I said fuck it because everyone who sells courses now is a scammer. So I'm going to just release a course for that tier of my Patreon subscribers, just as like a thank you guys. And it'll be weekly videos on the whiteboard. And we'll be speaking about what you can do to not only free yourself from the limitations that we kind of engage ourselves in this current reality, but how you can make yourself so free that you can kind of funnel that into creating a lifestyle for yourself on this platform, which the goal of this platform is to create the communities that can then get reintegrated into the real world and lead to the lasting cultural change and effect that we want to see. I may stream for the sake of just hanging out with you guys because like I'm really a homebody. I don't really like going out. And what's even worse is that like, fuck it, I don't even want to talk about that shit. I'm a homebody. So like, you're probably going to catch me on a stream. And I really don't like making that like short form content. And because TikTok's going to get destroyed and we're still waiting to build my platform, I'm just using TikTok to really be like a marketing thing. But I do have Red Note. So mains for Dark Wizard Disney, you guys who are probably here. I mean, because the page you're watching is Dark Wizard Disney. But for you guys who are here for the dungeon, the podcast and the vlog, my Red Note, and my Blue Sky. Fuck that Instagram shit. Probably not going to be on there. And my Blue Sky, this will be my shamanic healing psychic professor content. Mind you, if you want to see it, just look up Dark Wizard Disney. Now, the other side of this coin will be the next phase that I feel like of my life that I'm walking into, which is not just the philosopher, the thinker, the healer, but the entrepreneur, the creative artist, the visionary, the cultural visionary. I didn't mean to say visionary before cultural, but I hope you forgive me for that. So instead of just being a public figure online, I've realized these online spaces are bubbles and they're not going to last. I don't think a lot of these tech platforms that we exist on, digitally addicted to, will last for another 10 years. And if that's the case, if you want to be ahead of the gun, you have to start thinking about who are you going to be because of this platform, and what tools do you need in the real world to make that a reality, instead of trying to keep selling dreams of being this identity to internet fans that may or may not be AI bots. But the people that you meet in the real world, the relationships that you have in the real world, the things that you impact in the real world will always exist as long as the real world exists. But your status and your fame on TikTok and all that bullshit will not live if the platform goes down, if the algorithm gets juiced, if your audience goes down, if your account gets banned. So, and remember, this is Trump's America, bro. Anybody, the Supreme Court voted 7-2 that anybody can get deported to a country that is not of their origin as a means of punishment. So people are going to have to start being a lot more like wary as to where we're going here. And I realized that to distract the traditional world from the intellect that I'm hiding for my people, the people that genuinely care about this mission and who I am behind the mask, I'm going to have my entrepreneurial journey on this page, which it'll probably only be called Billionaire Bastards because I think that's way too many characters for a username. But Billionaire Bastards Rockstar Lifestyle is going to be, this is what I do for work, and then these are the ideas I have in my brain. So you can find me on LinkedIn if you want to connect with me on like a peer-to-peer level, or you can check out the vlogs, which I'll also be having on my Dark Wizards Dungeon. But those Dream Chasers and Sanity vlogs I keep talking about, those factor directly into these businesses that I run now. So it won't just be me giving you random advice for no reason. It'll be me giving you real insight from my own journey, hoping that it inspires you to be more diligent on your journey. Because we can all get to the promised land together. We just might not be in the same place when we get there. You can find me on Instagram for this one because since this is more of a business marketing profile, and it's a lot more like traditional, like work corporatized, I'll be able to use those traditional platforms while they still exist as marketing platforms. But to connect with human beings anymore, until Tribal Worlds gets created, don't even worry about that shit, bro. All these platforms are dead. Find all of your favorite creators now and write them down. Find all your favorite creators and write them down. And because when I build this and I start the beta for the Tribal Worlds, I'm going to need you guys to request all of the people that you wanted to see and you want to see have brands on here. And that's how we're going to scale up the communities. 10 minutes left. Let's do it. This is absolute nonsense too. I hate Twitter. I hope you guys know that. It used to be cool before it was bought by Elon. Now, for the final 2 minutes of this, which I probably should do this in the beginning, but wait. Maybe I should just do this twice. If you'd like to support the channel, now that our video is concluded, I'd like you guys to check out our Patreon, where you can get that exclusive video, the professor series that I'm doing, which is going to be the course that I was going to drop. Check out our Patreon, or you could just drop something in the Cash App because you want to wish me a happy birthday, or you think I'm cute and you want to have... Say it. Check out our merch, Cosmic Nomads, Rebel Souls. This might be the only merch that you need, because I'm telling you right now, if you've been on the team, you knew what's been going down. They've been calling you crazy. They've been calling you crazy. They be calling you crazy. How about you give them one of these? Because we not. Okay, so go ahead and copy some merch. And actually, I have a tank version of this, and I have a crop top version of this. So for the girls, the gays, the theys, if you want to wear them, but not like this, check us out on the website. Obviously, my account's really not that big, and I'm a pretty hidden profile, and I like this little hidden account on like the digital world. I really don't care about going viral. I just like connecting with people who like care about intellect and empathy and all that type of stuff. But if you do want to pay me to promo anything that you have, whether it's like an article of clothing, it's some brand that you're running, it's promoting something that you're trying to build, let me know. And I'm going to start doing, I don't know, like some kind of pay for a slot. And then the first 2 minutes of every video, I'm going to be like, check this out, check this out, check this out, check this out. But I want to do it like, again, huge brands, I'll get those brand deals whenever they come. For right now, I want people in my community that have something to share. If you have something you want to share, bro, I'm building my brand up. So if you have something you want to share, especially with people in my community, the non-traditional life path people, let me know. Email me, and we'll get it rocking. Other than that, that concludes our video. It's been a long time. It's been a long day. It's been a lot of information we've been sharing, but that's how you get shit done. No other way we want to do this, man. My goal was to be real. 2024 started. I said, if I have to lie to you, nigga, I ain't even going to talk to you. And that's the kind of energy that I'm going with. Not that I don't want to talk to you, but if I don't give my all to you, I probably won't give you nothing. Because I really, really, really feel like I came to this world to do this. I came to this world to impact something, bro, and to be somebody. And I'm going to give my whole entire heart and soul to it until I don't have the opportunity to do that anymore. So hopefully everything's cool with y'all, and hopefully this was something that excited your insides a little bit. Hopefully you feel not only am I a worthy leader, but you feel capable of changing the world with us. Thank you for everything that you do, everything that you are, and just being here on this journey. Excited to see where this goes. Don't forget, check out the proposal for No Land for Good Men. I'll put it right here. And the one for Tribal Worlds, which will both be uploaded by the time that these are uploaded. And how about you go hit that GoFundMe for me? All right, gangsta. If you think I'm cute, you want to have sex. Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. Instagram. Other than that, I'll catch you later.